Hello, it's Weekend Handicapper. In this video, we're going to continue our series on how to read past performances, and particularly the Brisnet Ultimate Past Performances, also known as Ultimate PPs. And these are the past performances that you could get for free if you're a Twinspires account holder or a Keeneland Select account holder. You can get them for free as long as you download and bet on that particular track. So to recap, and I'll put a link into the video, the part 1 of how to read PPs. In this video, I'll put a link there so you can access it. But to recap real quick, on our first video, we basically just set the stage and saw this area. Explain this area. So we have our wagering menu right here. This shows you the race 9 at Churchill Downs in this particular case. The distance, the name of the race, or the class level of the race, and the purse, and what kind of horses is this race meant for? Who's running in this particular race? Post times. We're in future videos. To remind you, we're going to get into those pars right there and speed figures in future videos. But this video, we want to look specifically at this area. We want to get really good at this because I think it contains a lot of valuable information, what you see here. And plus, those that, not everybody's going to use these ultimate past performances with all this information on it. If you're a recreational player, just go on the weekend, want to go out to the track a couple times, you get a basic program. This area right here is what you'll be seeing more often than not. You won't have all this information that we went over before, like jockey stats, trainer stats, breeding, lifetime records, different records, how well the horse has performed on different surfaces, etc. What you will see is the horse in the post position. So we're going to look in depth during this video at the number 1 horse, Finite. And down here is what we want to explain in part 2 of this video series on how to read past performances. Now, I think it's possible, since this horse hadn't ran that much, because it's a 2-year-old, that we can kind of look at each one of these races. Now, it's probably good practice to get in what have you done for me lately and start at the top and go work your way back. Other handicappers like to start at the very beginning and track this horse's career. And we could do that pretty easy. Since this horse only has 4 starts, you're going to have some horses with several years of racing, if not more. So you might not want to go too far back. You might want to start at the most recent and go back 3 or 4, perhaps even 5 races to see how well the horse has done. So for illustration, we're going to look at number 1, Finite, and we're going to look at every single one of his races for this particular video. All right, so let's start from left to right. The first thing you see is the date. There's our little headers. Right there, they kind of tell us. All right, so on July 19th, 2019, this tells you the track at Saratoga. Race number 5, that's what this 5 means. That's the race. So now I know the day, the track, and the race number that this horse, Finite, ran at. So on this particular day, he ran it's a filly. Again, if you didn't know that, just look up here and tells you who's running in this race, what kind of horses. 6 furlongs is the distance. This FT means fast. This FM means firm, because this was on turf, so this is good to know. Anytime you see that circle around the T, so a T with a circle, that means that was a turf race. If you don't see anything, that means that's a dirt race. So in this particular case, 6 furlongs on a fast track. These are what's called point of call times or the fractions. You know, a lot of student handicappers are really good at the times for their track and different distances. They can tell you whether or not that a particular race was run rather fast or slow, or they were crawling. If you don't play that often, I wouldn't get hung up on this too much. If you want to get serious about handicapping, by all means, get pretty good about your tracks that you play a lot and what's a normal time, what's a good time, because that's how one way you can tell if a particular horse can compete at that level, at that track. It's these fractional times right here. Race rating in future videos, we'll talk about that. That's a Brisnet thing. Probably won't see that in programs. You will see this, though. This is the class level. You can watch my other videos about class to learn more about class. But basically, this is the competition this horse has been facing. If we look at the very beginning, her very first start, it's a maiden race, $90,000. So that means maidens, to recap, means a horse hasn't won yet, still maiden, hasn't won. Once they break their maiden, that means they have won a race for $90,000. That's a huge number for a maiden race. But again, it's Saratoga. And Saratoga is known for big purses in the summer and even for maiden races. All right, this is the class rating. Don't worry about that. That's a Brisnet in particular number. We'll have a video about that in the future. These are other Brisnet, kind of like pace ratings. These are, to me, really important. I use these a lot. I see a lot of value in these. So we'll talk about that in the future because, again, you won't see that in a normal program. Your basic program. So if you don't have access to these ultimate past performances, you won't see something like that. So I'll have a video exclusively for those. This shows you how fast the race was run or how slow the race was won. Speed figures will probably be in your program. Most programs these days have some kind of speed figure, whether it's provided by Brisnet or Equibase or DRF, buyer speed figures. So these are important. So this is what you're looking at. Higher the number, common sense, the faster a horse ran. The only problem with this, a lot of handicappers love it, swear by it. Others don't pay much attention to it and think they're overrated. Other handicappers feel that everybody knows about them, and anybody that knows one number's higher than the other can look at this, and then they can isolate contenders. If everybody's doing it in a parimutuel game such as horse racing, then you're going to lose your value because everybody's going to see the same things and bet on the same horses. When everybody bets on the same horses, that means low prices and short odds, and we don't want that. So that's the danger of relying too much on speed figures. All right, but this one has some pretty good ones. All right, so this is really important. I'm a pace player. I love pace handicapping. I think it's valuable. I think that can really, when all things are equal, the way a race is run according to the pace can make the difference. And so this is why this section is important. So basically, this is the post position the horse was running at. So if we're using our very first race, our July 19, 2009, or 19, Saratoga race 5. This is the post position. This is where it started. So as you see, these are the positions it was in. So started first, the first call. That's what the 1C means. It was second, half a length behind the leaders of the horse race. The second call, it was third, half a length behind the leaders. At the stretch, it was second, 2 lengths behind the leaders, but it finished second, 2 1/4 lengths behind the first place finisher. Now, real quick, Here's your finishers. We see Finite's name right here. Finite, remember, it came in second, 2 1/4 lengths behind the top finisher. Well, here's your top finisher. That's how you know who won that race and who came in third. So Sweet Kisses won the race, looks like, and Finite was second. This is the jockey. If you remember from the previous video, How to Read Past Performances Part 1, we went over the jockey stats. And as you see, a very common name. So Ricardo Santana Jr. has rode this horse 3 of the 4 lifetime starts of this horse. This came in second twice, and it's won with Finite once. And that was, let's go ahead and look, October 27th, October 27, 2019, in race number 9 at Churchill Downs. This one was a mile. Again, those are your fractions. This is the race type. So as you see, look at this. Look at this class level. This horse is going up in class. It went from a maiden 90K at Saratoga, which is very tough to win at. Came in second. Finally broke its maiden because it finally won at Kentucky Downs. That's what the KD means. For 130. Look at that purse for a maiden race. Wow. Yeah, thank you, Historical Race Wagering, a.k.a. sort of casino money, slot money, but it's not really, because as of I'm recording this, you can't have legitimate slot machines in Kentucky, but historical racing, I guess, is like a loophole. But anyway, that's how you get in that big of a purse. So after it broke its maiden, it stepped up in class and ran the Rags to Riches stakes race at Churchill for a mile, which is where they're racing at again. This right here would be how that horse runs. And what I mean by that is, see this? We're going to do a whole video on this, so I don't expect you to get this just today. That E8 means early speed. Well, how do they get that? Well, right here, look at this. Look at all these races. So 4 races so far, and pretty much look at all these ones. This horse needs the lead. It loves to get out to the early lead. You see that right here. Yeah, so that's an early speed horse. That's a stereotypical early speed horse. And it's got a 2-race winning streak. So that's a good thing. Again, that's the jockeys. This is Lasix. That's that medication. It's racing again with Lasix today, carrying 119, 119 pounds. This is the same thing right there. So this was the jockey. This is the weight of the jockey. These are the odds. As you see, as this horse keeps racing, the lower the odds go. So everybody's recognized that this is a pretty good horse. So that's how you know what the odds were. These, to recap or to reiterate, is the top finishers. See this bold LDYGLMR? Anytime it's the font or the text is bold, that means that horse is in today's race. So if I scroll down, we should see, there we go, Lady Glamour. That's the abbreviation of what we saw up there. And there's this Finite. See how that's bold? That means it's in today's race. So a lot of times you'll see horses that keep running against each other, competing against each other. That's one way to do it. And that's one way to assess the competition a horse has been running against. All right, so your top finishers. These are important if you're what's called a trip handicapper. Check out my video about trip handicapping on my playlist. So these are notes. So you could see, like, the first race it ever ran, it prompted too wide. It kept on. It's clear, like this 2 races back, had speed, widened, held on to win. Dead aim. You're at the mercy of whoever's writing these notes, but ridden out, that's a good sign. That means they had plenty left. So all signs point to this horse, Finite, being a legitimate 7-5 morning line. So that's going to be your favorite right there. And we see it. We see that this horse hasn't even been third in a race. Last time out, it blew the doors off the competition, won by 6 lengths. And good connections, good jockey, strong speed figures. I mean, yeah, this is legitimate. Now, I hadn't even seen the other horses in the race, but right off the bat, we have a legitimate contender, and that's how you know it. Real quick, before we end this video of part 2, this is how the horse has been working out. So check out my video, because I don't want to shortchange any of these angles or any of these handicapping fundamentals, because I try to make videos on every important thing or somewhat important thing of handicapping, so y'all know it. I don't want to shortchange anything by just glancing over one angle or one fundamental. But basically, this is the date the horse worked out. This is where it worked out at. So on November 25th at Churchill, ran 4 furlongs. That was the time. B's bullet. That's what that means. And anytime you see like this one right here, see how that's got a big bullet point next to it, big brown dark circle? Well, that indicates that horse was worked out the best that day, or was the fastest of these 11 horses that this shows. Main thing about working out is consistency. You don't want to have a horse not be in form, what's called form, or not being in shape. They usually are for the most part, and you'll know that by how consistent they've worked out. So just keep track of those dates, how consistently they've worked out recently. Just like I said in my workout video, or about working out, horses working out, you think about humans. If you hadn't practiced, if you hadn't been in condition, you ain't going to go out and compete your best. So horses are the same thing. You want them to be consistently working out, and that's where you see that. So in summary for this video, let's recap. This is the date the horse ran. This is where it ran at. This is the distance it ran at. These are the fraction, the times, basically. And that's your final time. This is the class level. These are those pace numbers, which I'll make an entire video about in the future in this How to Read Past Performances series. This is your speed figures. This is the running line. So as we see, this horse is an early speed horse. This is the jockey. This is how much weight the jockey was carrying. This indicates the medication Lasix that horse had that day. This is the odds of each race the horse was running at. These are your top finishers. Keep in mind, if you ever see one that has a bold type, bold text, that means it's in today's race, unless it got scratched. These are the trip notes, and that should put you in pretty good shape as you're practicing learning how to read past performances. Now, in future videos, the next video, I should say, we're going to go horse by horse, and we're going to actually handicap this race by each horse. We're going to practice, ingrain these kind of skills and this kind of knowledge I've been sharing with you so you can get good, because the more you do it, the more repetition you do, the better you're going to get at it. And then in future videos, we're going to break down these numbers, these pace numbers, these speed numbers, this race rating, those sorts of things that are specific to Brisnet Ultimate PPs, or Ultimate Past Performances. So stay tuned. Now, if you haven't signed up, or if you don't have an online wagering account. If you want these free past performances, check out the link in the description. That's where I provide affiliate link on how you can become a Twinspires account holder, where you can get these free ultimate past performances as long as you bet on that track's card that you downloaded. So you download the past performances like you're looking at here, you bet on that track, they're free. Technically, freeze in quotes, because you're betting, you have to place a bet. So hopefully you'll win your bet and you'll basically get those past performances for free. All right, so stay tuned for other videos in this series. We're slowly getting it. We're slowly taking it section by section. Volume 1 or part 1 was this section. Part 2 and a little of this was part 1. Part 2 was this section. In the next video, part 3, we're going to look and sharpen the saw and look through each horse in this particular race, and we'll try to pick out a winner eventually. And then in other videos, we'll break down the different pace numbers and speed figures and all these specific numbers that are unique to Ultimate Past Performances provided by Brisnet. It's a good product. I've used it, for a long, long time. So if you learn how to read this, it's going to definitely keep your bankroll intact and hopefully make you some money. All right, so again, this is Weekend Handicapper. If you like this video, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button so you can get the latest tips, tools, and resources to help you win at the track. Hit that notification bell as well. And until next time, happy handicapping and smart wagering.